This is the Meaning Business Podcast, your go-to source for business tips, advice, growth, and exit strategies, hosted by Bruce Kudry and Peter Spinder. Each episode, we bring you real stories, expert insights, and practical advice to help you succeed in today's market. Let's dive in.
So I've got a story for you, Peter.
Tell us.
Oh my God, this could be boring, but anyway, hang in there. There's a purpose to it.
Where's that pillar?
You might need it. You get a coffee. So it's 1984.
Okay, I was 4 years old.
Dapto, Wollongong, summer, 44-degree day. We've got a tiny little shop about the size of this room. And at the back of the shop was Coke fridges. And that's part of the story, because the fridges weren't proper refrigeration. They were just Coke fridges, the glass door. And so they would pump the heat from the refrigeration motor into this little space so the shop was hot. So Alex, my business partner, and I are working in the store, and people are just coming in. We could not get the drinks cold enough. We're just putting them in the fridge, taking them out, putting them in the fridge. So Alex is putting in the drinks in the fridge, and I'm serving customers at the counter. Shell service station, Shell Dapto, opposite the Dapto dogs. And Alex says to me, "You know what we should do?" No. He goes, "We should sell bottled water, 984. So what? He goes, "Oh, mate," because he's Greek. He goes, "In Greece and Europe, everyone buys bottled water. There's no bottled water in Australia in those days." I said, "Nah, mate, you're crazy. This is Australia. You just go up to a tap." Because I had this stupid idea that, the water in Europe must have been so dirty and polluted that you had to get clean bottled water. No, I was wrong. Totally wrong. So naive. So anyway, I proceeded to give him a 20-minute lecture on how stupid he was and what a dumb idea it was, and how bottled water is the dumbest thing I'd ever heard of. You know what? If I'd done what Alex had suggested, we'd be very, very, very wealthy men today. We would have blazed. He even had a name for it. He said, "Let's call it Lutraki," which is a place in Greece where they get water from, I believe. So how dumb am I? And what we'll talk about today was the mistakes we've made in business, the dumb things that we've done.
The opportunities we missed out on.
Exactly. So, because, we talk about things in business and I guess we hold ourselves up to be experts. But not many people would really know what our background is and what we've done in business. So I thought it'd be good to sort of talk about that as well, and the mistakes we've made, which has come out of our business lives.
Absolutely.
So it's not just textbooks, right? So I'll kick off. All right. Is everyone still awake? Hey, wake up. Okay, all right. Well, my story starts in Wollongong. I went to school at Wollongong High School, and I graduated in 1968. And when you graduated from high school in Wollongong, you had three choices as a man, a boy. You could work in the coal mines, you could work in the steelworks, or you could go on the dole. That was it. Maybe be a student, but even university wasn't like it is today, no hex. So I chose steelworks, and I became a mechanical engineer. I worked on steelworks, and I loved being an engineer, but I hated the environment. So after a few years, I thought, there's no way I'm going to stay here. My schoolmate Alex, we used to work in service stations as a kid, and I also worked at McDonald's and other part-time jobs because I loved working and I loved money. I loved spending money on stuff. Alex and I got our heads together. I'd graduated. He was apprentice of the year as a panel beater. And he said, we decided we're going to get into business. So we went and saw my cousins who were farmers at Deniliquin and Tumbarumba. And we decided when we came back from this 2 weeks holiday, we're going to buy a service station. So we went and saw our old boss, a guy named Ron Bray, and he had Millbray Motors in Crown Street, Wollongong. And he told us that the Shell at Dapto was available. So we got into business there. So I bought a first service station in Dapto. Then my second service station was Gwynville, which was sort of closed down, a bit of a rundown place. Fixed that up, flipped that and bought Ferry Meadow, which was a really good servo. Then we sold Dapto, and we had Corrimal, Tarrawanna, East Corrimal, and we had what was called a network, a multiple site franchisee, and we thought we were great. We built a car wash, we had a car detailing business, we bought a car rental franchise, Thrifty Car Rental in Wollongong.
True entrepreneurs.
No, we were. He's a Greek, and Greeks are very good business people. I was so lucky to grow up in that environment with those hardworking migrants who really knew how to save money and make money. So that was a part of it, I suppose. And anyway, then the car wash was a big thing. We had 132 employees. The car rental was big. We started with 4 cars, ended up with 65 cars and 14 trucks and a bus. Bus always used to break down, 21-seater bus, always broke down. We used to give our vehicles to the Illawarra Hawks basketball team, so that bus became their bus. So in 1995, Shell, I was going to get into a motorcycle dealership, but didn't do that. Shell were buying up franchises, and we could see the writing was on the wall for us. So we got out of that, and I ended up moving to Queensland. We were going to get into business. I got into Alex was going to come up, but he never did. He ended up staying in Wollongong till 99, in the servos, and then he got into the jewellery business. And so I got into, Alex and I bought this mobile sign business. You know those billboards on the back of trucks that drive around? So we got that. It was called A Mobile Billboard. It's still going today. And I ran that, and it was going quite well, but I didn't have enough to do, so I got into business brokerage. I was walking down the street one day, saw a guy from Wollongong. He said, "You should go and see this guy." Get into business brokerage. Next thing I know, I'm in business sales, and the rest is history. But that's my business background. That's my history in a nutshell. There's as small a nutshell as I can squeeze it into.
Not to mention the from 99 till today.
Yes,
2024.
exactly. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that's a huge career.
But been doing the one thing, basically. Sold that billboard business consequently, and just focused on this. So what about you, Pete? I know that you've had a very interesting history.
Sort of like yours, you sort of do different things and go from one thing to the other. And I feel like I'm now hitting that point where I'm in that business that I'll probably stay in for the next X amount of years, and you start building that brand, and because you're comfortable, you know what you do well, you're
found your space.
Found your space. That's right. I mean, my journey began very differently, where we came over here as migrants from Hungary. And when you go through a situation like what we went through in our family circumstance, and coming here literally with a suitcase and no money, nothing at all, and escape quite a negative situation, it gives you this drive in your life. Like, I've got such gratefulness, the fact that we live in this country. I'm so grateful about the fact that my parents did what they did in order for us to get here. And so the drive was always, okay, I'm going to become a medical doctor, going to become an orthopedic surgeon, all that sort of stuff. But then, life throws a curveball, and I went to university, and a curveball came my way, which was, I didn't realize at the time, but I saw an opportunity. I needed to buy some textbooks for the course that I was doing. And after waiting for about half an hour, waiting in line to get into the bookshop, I thought, stuff, this is back in 99. I'll hop on the internet, and I'll see if I can buy it online. And no one was actually doing it at that time. I couldn't find anybody. And so I don't know what happened. I got back in line, and I thought, okay, I need to do something about it. And that's how it all began.
So you were 19?
So I was 19 at the time. And so started our bookshop venture, and the grand plan was to set up this online bookshop, but we didn't know how to do it. We didn't have any money, anything like that, so literally got pieces of paper and started asking students, okay, what book are you after? And we started taking orders and taking cash, and took that cash to buy the books, and you made a meager margin, use that to, buy more books. The next thing you know, it's growing and scaling. And within a space of about 3 years, we ended up having a national business, and, we had a huge turnover, and it went really, really well for a period. Then the whole thing collapsed and crashed all around us. And that was actually one of the big mistakes that we made, was growing too fast. And then since that day, I've never had a period since the age of 19 when I didn't have a business, even when I had employed positions. And I had gone through periods of my 20s where I had to have employed work. You just had to be in that position, didn't have any money, so I had to make money somehow.
Got to live.
You got to live. And so I've always had businesses. So I've done things like importing and exporting products, importing eyewear, sporting products, medical products. I had my own range of silk ties and cufflinks, Pietro Gregori.
I was waiting for this. Yeah.
Brand, and that was fantastic dealing with the.
How did you market those products?
We were selling, so the ties and cufflinks, we were selling them on eBay. We had them in stores throughout Brisbane and Sydney. We were selling them at the markets as well. So I literally had a stall of the South Bank markets.
Yeah.
We'd, like
eBay,
yeah.
Okay.
And it took off, and we did well. And
Pietro Gregori,
and we made plenty of money out of it. But it got to a point where I just wasn't interested in that business. I had no love for that, no desire to do it, but it was just something fun to do. And I was employed at that time, so you're sort of balancing different things. And then I got to a point where I saw another big opportunity, and I took a risk, and I quit my work, set up my own medical recruitment agency, and we were recruiting doctors from overseas. And that business went so well, printing money, Bruce. 15 months in, 7 full-time employees, had a business partner, 1.3 or so mil worth of contracts on the go. We already had made hundreds of thousands of dollars in our first year, so we did well. And unfortunately, what happened there was change of the environment. And we had someone by the name of Dr. Patel, well-known case out there. The overseas trained doctor unfortunately caused some problems over here, and as a result, everything changed. Visas changed, medical regulations changed, and we literally went from having a sustainable, viable business, profitable one day, to not having that the next day, and that was quite a challenge to wake up through. It was a huge wake-up call. That was a big mistake I made there, but we'll talk about that later. And so, so I went through that, and then started my reality as a business consulting firm, and spent the past 12 or 13 years working with business owners, helping them with their business. Along the way, I started a digital agency as well, building websites, and we had a marketing department. I had a team in the US and Europe, over here in India, so that went well. So, you sort of go in different paths and different areas as an entrepreneur. And I've always had this thing in me that I don't want to build a business that is reliant on me. I want to build something that I can look back on and be really proud of. I want to build something where people look at it and go, wow, that's a really well-run business.
So the thing is, that's a really amazing
And today,
career for a young guy. Yeah.
it's been a long career, and today the realities of business has now evolved into a business partnership with you, and we've got Benchmark Business Advisory, which I feel is just such a natural evolution. I feel like when I talk to people about what I do is what I love. I absolutely love doing what we do here, and working with business owners and building our own team internally and having a lot of fun.
But you can call on all those things that you've done in the past to help you to empathize and understand someone else's position, and to offer them advice, which comes from your experience, not just a textbook. And same with me. And I think anyone that's a good business broker has been in business themselves and experienced in all those highs and lows. There's one particular broker I know who he often talks about how he had the contract for Cadbury ice cream in Queensland, and how he got it and how he sold it. And, you can't read that in a textbook, and that helps you to relate to a client so well. So the mistakes I've made, sort of, maybe we'll drill down on it, is not buying property when I should have, not buying shares when I should have, selling houses when I should have kept them, not growing through acquisition, not selling for the high enough price when I sold some businesses, not paying for good advice. I should have really... from the day one, I was always thought I don't need a lawyer. I don't need, I don't need a doctor. I don't need a dentist. I don't need a good accountant, just a bookkeeper. If I'd paid for good advice, I would have been in such a stronger position now than if I didn't.
Now, I don't know what you were like in your 20s, but I know in my 20s, certainly in the early 20s, when the textbook bookshop was doing really, really well, I thought that, I'm God's gift to business. I felt very highly of myself. My ego was massive, and so I never even considered thinking about getting advice from anybody, because, well, why would I seek advice when I'm already doing well? And that was actually the undoing of the business, because had I sought advice rather, and got someone in and they were looking at things, they would have tapped me on the shoulder and say, hey, listen, you're about to fall off a cliff because of this, and this. You adjusted this. That business could have still be operating. Probably would have sold it to Jeff Bezos, because we were aiming to take on his model, multifaceted.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
No. And so, you learn from all these mistakes. Another one No, you're right. No, it's just to elaborate on it. So, I should have paid for good advice, and I did not ever, ever, ever go for quality until I got older. So when I bought tyres for a car, I'd buy the cheapest. When I bought furniture, I'd buy the cheap stuff. When, might have been clothing or something, a watch, bought the cheap stuff. And in hindsight, if I'd bought the quality, I would have saved money manyfold if I'd done that. So that's some of my regrets. And you talked about growing too fast before. 1984, I think it was, 85, 84. I bought a second service station, 84. And, oh my God, we grew this place so quickly, right? So it used to trade from like 7 in the morning till 5 at night. So we threw the doors open at 4 in the morning, and we were open till 10 at night. And we made the shop bigger, and we quadrupled the fuel sales. And we had account customers. So all the rich people in Wollongong, wealthy, it was near a wealthy suburb, would have an account. So all the doctors, accountants, and some particular guys who were great customers, they had an insurance loss assessing business. They were great guys. I loved them. And everyone would come in and sign for their fuel, right? And they buy a Coke or something and off they go. No idea at all. We grew too fast. And what happened was our debtors were $140,000. Now, 1984 debtors is a lot of money.
Yes.
So I didn't have enough money in the bank to pay for my fuel because I was owed money for the fuel that the people had bought and they were going to pay me in 30 or 60 days. So my high volume of sales made me a superstar with Shell, but I had an empty bank balance and I couldn't pay my next load of fuel.
So we had the exact same thing in the textbook arena where, you're making all these sales, and our issue was that we didn't actually understand the margins and how much money we were truly making. We didn't understand all the different cost components that go into running a business. And so we were like, we sold almost $400,000 worth of textbooks this month. We're doing fantastic. Not understanding that your margins, that's not all your money. You've got to pay for those books. You've got to pay for the marketing. You've got to all these other costs.
Yeah.
But that's how we learn.
Exactly.
They're part of the mistakes that we make.
So the mistakes I've made are drilled into my brain now and much more powerful than any textbook. So a good example is business planning. I had no intention ever of writing a business plan. As I said before, Alex used to say, what's the point of making a plan? It's going to change anyway. So I didn't really worry about business plans. And this really great guy, he was an awesome guy named Graham Marks, Grame, Marks. If anyone wants to look him up on LinkedIn, he's still around. He was my Shell business manager. He was a great guy, a great business manager and a great consultant. So he came to me, we had this car wash. And we had a lineup of cars down the street. It was $2 a car wash. If you've got a petrol full tank of fuel, you got a free wax, which is worth $1. So cars lined up down the road. We used to wash the car before it went in the car wash. It would go through the car wash, get rinsed and waxed and stuff, air blower drying it off. And then a kid there with chamois and towels drying the car. And then you could peel off and you could get the car vacuumed by an employee, which you paid $15 for, and they do the inside, or $1 you could vacuum it yourself. So Graham comes along and he goes, Bruce and Alex, you're washing the car before it goes in the car wash. You're drying the car, which has an air dryer. Why are you paying these guys to be there? I'm like, it's great service. He goes, yeah, but have you figured out your income and your expenses? Don't tell me how to run my business. What do you know about it? So I had this guilty lack of knowledge, but I was too proud to admit that he was right and I should think about that. And I just told him to go away. Get lost. But my cash flow situation, because it was the mid-80s now, was getting worse. We were growing, didn't have good guidance, didn't have good advice, just flying by the seat of our pants, trying to do the best car wash we could or the best petrol station or best gardens. And things would get real serious. So we run out of money. Interest rates were starting to climb. It was the recession we had was coming. So Alex and I sat down and we did a business plan. First time I did a business plan, still use that format today. Love it. Keep it with me, hard copy. It's daggy, it's unnecessarily long-winded, but I love it, that format. And it saved me because it made me realize, what? I'm spending more money on labor than I'm making in income here on this car wash. I've got to change that. So put the car wash up to $3 a car. Line got a bit shorter.
Yep.
Stop drying the car with the chamois. Oh, hang on, we can charge 50 cents if you want your car dried. Well, all of a sudden the business plan helped me to figure out how to make that business better. He was right, I was wrong, I should have listened, but at least I learned the lesson that having the plan is so important. And I was forced into doing it, and I created my own business plan, because I had to, and that was a real good, strong, powerful lesson for me.
Something where a lot of people go wrong, where they don't take that advice and they don't do what you did.
Well, I had to. I didn't want to take this advice.
Some people, even though they know they need to do something, they still don't do it. And that's of course often why they fail. That's why failure rates can be so high.
Absolutely. As a young guy in business, I was quite young. I never listened. I didn't want to listen to my dad because I didn't want him. To me, it was about right or wrong. Absolutely. I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah.
It wasn't that at all.
It's this masculinity that we have.
Right.
Yes.
It was a big mistake. I should have listened. I should have taken that advice on board and balanced, and in my own mind, weighed it up and thought, okay, does this work or not? I should have looked at facts, not opinion. I should have looked at numbers and not emotion. But I just didn't want anyone telling me how to run my life. I was in business. I'm a businessman. Don't tell me what to do. And that's how I perceived it, and I was wrong. And I think that a lot of business owners right now to this day that you and I meet still feel the same way. I met a guy up near Maryborough who runs a quarry, and he was losing money. And we could see, not me and another guy, could easily see how he could make a lot of money. All he had to do was crush the big rocks that he had sitting in massive piles and sell it as gravel. But he was just like, don't even tell me how to run my business. Get out of here. He was offended. I understand that because I've been, as I said, that was my experience as well.
Sometimes people just can't get out of their own way, and that's a big issue, especially with men. We see that particularly with men where there is an issue. They're just not willing to accept the realities. They're just not willing to accept that, you know what, you've got to change the perception.
Yeah.
Take on someone's advice, bring an advisor in and actually listen to them. And not necessarily an advisor. It could even be the employees. I mean, the people that are at the front serving the customers.
Mm-hmm. Could be the customer.
That's it.
So we've got to be open-minded.
We do.
And so I just want to run through a couple more mistakes. And so one was... So Alex and I had service stations, and all of them were leasehold. Alex's mother, Vasiliki, still alive in Wollongong. She's awesome. The Greeks are such good business people. She told us about a property that was for sale in Sydney. We should have bought it. It was a lot of money back in those days. It was $1 million. We should have bought it. We didn't buy it. And I vehemently said, no, we don't invest in property. We can invest in business. If we spend $1 million in that property, that'll buy us 5 businesses, and there's the cash flow. She was right. I was wrong. But again, it was my pride and ego that stopped me from listening.
It's all right.
If I'd even just weighed up the pros and cons rationally, I would have gone with that property. And when Shell started taking back their franchises in 95, it wouldn't have mattered because I had a property. I could have been an independent fuel operator. I didn't have that option. And like everybody says, I could have bought that house.
We all have so many stories.
That's
should have bought or should not have sold. We've got a property we sold, and we're still to this day. It's like, shouldn't have sold that property, but you don't know.
Well, I of course you don't. But when I look at all these mistakes, not buying property, not buying shares, selling a property I shouldn't have sold, not growing through acquisition, not selling for high enough price, not paying for good advice, not buying the best quality. Every one of those, to my mind, comes down to not being confident. I thought I was saving money by not getting the best quality. I thought I was being prudent by selling my house when I sold it. But if I was really confident, I would have said, no, I'm keeping this house because it's gonna be good. And it would have been. I bought a house for $575. I sold it for $700 near the Hope Island area. That was only 4 years ago.
I remember that house.
Yes, that house is now worth about $1.6 million. I should have kept it. I could have kept it. I didn't keep it. Why didn't I keep it? Because I wasn't confident that I could sustain the ownership of that property and renting it out. So
they sold for the exact same reason, and they're pretty much the exact same
should have kept it.
And big money difference now.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is, but main thing is that we can talk about it. We learn from it.
Exactly.
Next time round, it ain't happening.
So, Pete, you also you took some time off after the medical recruitment business, and you went to Thailand.
Yeah, we went traveling.
Yeah,
traveled around the world.
How long did you take off?
Europe. Originally, it was meant to be 6 months, but we cut it shorter to 4 months.
Yeah,
and we needed to get away. It was just one of those periods where I was getting in my own head, and my wife was getting in her own head, and we just needed some time away. And
that's very bad.
And that was fantastic. Going away and reflecting was really powerful. I wrote a book while I was away, and the intention wasn't actually to write a book. The intention was more to diarize and just go there, all the things that I've gone through. And then when I finished, I was like, this is actually a book, and published the book, and I've released, I think, third edition earlier this year, just making some updates. But it's all about just to say to people that, you know what, yes, there's a lot of positivity out there and a lot of success stories, but the overnight success isn't ever an overnight success. It's very rare to have a true overnight success in business. And the realities are that in business, we will make mistakes. We just need to be able to be willing to reflect and learn from them, get up and keep moving. Don't give up. And that's why you've done so many things. I've done so many things, because we're just not willing to give up. We know where we want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what I want to achieve in my life. I've got some very clear goals that I'm working towards, and I'm actually meeting them and I'm hitting them and going towards it. And like you, and I've seen your notebook where you turn to the back and you've got your list of things.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a similar
Give any
list.
good ideas, 6 weeks to think about.
Yep.
Debt is the enemy.
Yep.
So, but just let's go back to your book. So what's the book called?
Realities of Business, Misadventures and Lessons Learned.
So the fact is, we learn a lot from the mistakes that we've made, right? By the way, can we put a link to that?
Absolutely.
We can buy the last dregs of your 3rd edition. I've got that book on my bookshelf. I pull that out sometimes, because
That's when you can't sleep.
it's great for insomnia. It is actually one of the only books you'll find that talks about failure and mistakes, right? And unashamedly.
We have to own it. We have to own.
Yeah.
We have to own where we've been. We have to own our successes. And as much as we love talking about ourselves and look at me how good I am, we also have to own the mistakes and failures and what we've done.
Exactly.
And it's through that process that it's allowed me personally to become a better business person, entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Am I still growing and learning? Absolutely. We're never not going to stop growing. We're always going to make mistakes. The mistakes are different. You make less mistakes. But the key message from our point of view is that we use this in order to move forward in our lives. What we don't do, what you don't do, and what I don't do is we don't go into this hole and go, woe is me, and never get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have periods when woe is me, and I've gone through anxiety and depression and all that, but we go through it, and then we move on.
Yeah.
And we go, right.
Learn from it.
Let's learn from it.
Yeah.
And then let's use this information to educate the people around us, our team, our family.
Not only educate, but I think empathize.
Yes.
If someone's experiencing cancer or a life-threatening situation, I can't say I know how you feel. I used to. But I can kind of imagine from my own experiences what's happened to me, how I would feel if I was in that situation. I don't know how they feel.
Yep.
But it's the same with your book and your and my business experiences. At least we've got that. It's not all academic. We're not just talking about theory.
Yep.
Didn't learn off the internet.
Yep.
When we're talking to people in business, we do have some level of experience of our own that we can relate to.
So you and I both had the house on the line. You've had
Sleepless nights.
3 daughters. I've got 3 kids myself, and you're going through those periods where you think, okay, well, where's the money going to come from? How's the family to survive? And the sleepless nights, you're waking up in panic going, oh, I've got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. You go through all of these periods. So we've been there, done that in this.
Exactly.
We've walked those in those shoes. So nowadays when we work with business owners, and I know when I work with a business owner and they're going through these troubling periods, I understand it. And then I tell them my story and say, you know what?
That's right.
I get what you're going through.
Yeah. And just like lifting heavy weights builds muscle, going through those sleepless nights and that stress and that anxiety helps you later on to deal with things. It gives you that, maybe not resilience, but that capability of knowing
It does give you
can get through it.
It allows you to get through it. It allows you to learn those CBT techniques.
Correct. Exactly.
Here's how I'm going to view the world.
Exactly right.
Half full, half empty.
Exactly. So we are not perfect.
No.
Well, you're not.
Getting it.
I'm close. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. We're going to keep making mistakes, and we're going to keep learning from our mistakes.
And we're going to keep using those lessons to become more and more successful. You've hit some phenomenal personal goals. I'm hitting my personal goals as well. And it's fantastic to be able to reflect back and go, wow, I actually got a pretty good life, and I'm building something.
We can help our kids and other people.
Exactly.
From that.
So don't hide away from your mistakes. Don't hide away from failure. In fact, seek to make mistakes. Seek to have failure in your life, because it's through that experimentation, it's through that process that you work out who you are, the direction you need to go in, and truly that's when you learn. You learn when you're willing to take that step on that road that you've never traveled.
Exactly.
Learn.
Yeah. So thanks, Pete. That was good. And I think it's time to wrap it up, but we could probably talk about more mistakes. Save that for another day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.